council employee, you have certain duties. Otherwise, you're perfectly free to be a start your own company.
Yeah.
Heavens. Guess what?
Are we ready?
We are on air. I did that.
Right.
I went on air like 15 minutes ago last time. Do you understand? All the secrets, they are out there now. Nah, just a couple of seconds ago. It says live. We should.
Let's go. Yeah.
Hello, folks. I'm Nilo. This is Be Smart on Air. I hope my audio is roughly the way it should be. It's been a hectic day, and it still is, but in another way, I guess. And December 1, it's like Christmas feeling. I'm in the Christmas mood. Tina there said she's not, but perhaps we can make it happen. You know, like together, like a one big family here on air.
Waiting for the miracle to happen.
Waiting. Just exactly what would that be? Okay. What else? We've been advertising this Twitter phase of kind of a major pros and cons connected to Twitter, and I guess we might get to that in a minute or two, or perhaps half an hour after Tina has got her presentation done, or introduction, I mean. No, couple of minutes, please, each, maximum 20 minutes, Tina. Who are you folks, and what are you doing? Give yourself, like, a big plug. Tina, go for it. You first.
Okay. So I'm Tina, and I'm from Finland, and still working for the Finnish National Board of Education, doing a lot of curriculum work and internationalization of education, ICT, so on. A big plate.
Cool.
That's all.
But, well, it's pretty good. The new curriculum getting fired up soon or whatever.
Yes, there's a lot of work there because we don't want to change so much the content, but the way we teach and learn.
Yeah.
And that needs quite a lot of things happening inside the heads of our teachers.
Sounds like a good idea.
Change of culture.
Today there hasn't been much happening in my head.
Yeah, well, something's happening there. Definitely, you didn't notice. Something is growing.
Okay. That's
red and white.
It sounds kind of scary what you're saying. I mean, this hat, it's actually not a part of me. I think, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, we move on. Kim just took off, so I guess we won't be hearing from him again. Or are we? Kim, who are you? What are you doing except messing around with the Hangout?
I'm an upper secondary teacher and IT administrator in the southernmost part of Sweden, in Malmö.
Do you possibly have a Christmas hat there?
I don't.
No, you're just fooling around with other stuff. Man, useless.
There's a CD.
Ah, forget it. That's old-fashioned stuff. All right. Anything else exciting you are into, Kim?
No. I really enjoy using Google Apps and teaching others how to use it.
Yeah. Well, it works. We mentioned this legal situation earlier in another context. Alistair was into that, and Sweden and Google Apps, at least, that is, like I said, a legal jungle. Alistair, hi there. How are you doing?
Hello. Linnaeus University, Kalmar, Southeast Sweden, working with all aspects of e-learning and yeah, that sort of thing. And by the way, you know what happens if you keep that hat on? Your beard grows whiter and whiter and longer.
Oh, well, I take my chances.
So be very careful. And on the 24th, a pile of reindeers will chuck you into a sleigh and kidnap you.
That might turn out really interesting. So heck, I don't mind. I'll take my chances. You've been on air most of the day, I understand, Alistair. today?
Yes, I do spend an awful lot of my time like this in various formats. I think this is my fourth online session today, so I haven't actually done much else than look into this screen and talk to people.
Oh, great to have you here. Anyway, you're not completely wasted yet. You have some of the energy to keep going here for a while, huh?
Yep.
Excellent. Why don't we just get into the thick of it, talking about Twitter? Later on, we just might get into some side tracks, as we always do, and perhaps some Christmas thoughts, Christmas gifts, or suggestions or ideas in this true spirit of sharing the good stuff. I don't know if I've said something like that I hate Twitter. Did I?
Pretty well, yeah.
Pretty much like that. Okay. We can start from there. Actually, I don't. I just don't quite get it. Some parts of it I really don't like too much. Others are okay, and then again, some of the things just plain weird. But getting started with Twitter as a part of the social media arena, I guess. So what is it? What kind of a beast is it? And am I way out there if I say something like mostly a broadcast medium, one to many? I guess it was called microblog in the good old days, at least. I don't know what people say these days. I think you, Alistair, are most connected of the bunch here. So what do you say?
Well, I remember, I think it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago I took an account on Twitter because I wanted to see what's all this about. And I remember there was a bit of a fight between two services. One was called Twitter, the other one was called Yaiku.
Finnish.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think so.
I know.
Was it? Okay, the Yaiku disappeared when Twitter began to take over. But I sort of, like a lot of these web services, I opened an account and then I sat and looked at it for several months trying to think, yep, what does this do? What's the point of it? What can I do with it? And it did take me a little while, I admit, to get started. And then I sort of realized through sort of reading how other people used it that that I could find a purpose. The problem is it takes a lot of time and patience to really reap the benefits of using Twitter.
That was exactly what I was thinking of.
There's a bit of a startup.
It must be kind of a time suck.
Yeah, it's not so much of that. It's more. I mean, the basic principle is when you tweet, there's going to be somebody listening, and if you have no followers or hardly any followers, the chances are you're sending a message into nothingness. It just disappears. Nobody will ever read what you said.
In the Twitter, whatever you call it, in the Twitterverse. Okay. An old tweet. It's 5 minutes old and it's yesterday's news, huh?
Yeah. I mean, let's say that I use it for monitoring what's going on in my fields of interest. So I made an effort to basically, I got out there and looked for who are the people who are tweeting in my subject area, and that is e-learning.
Is it specifically e-learning or education in general?
Well, no, e-learning, educational in general. I mean, it has developed since then, but basically I started following the usual suspects in a way. Certain sort of researchers and high-profile people, also some sort of journals or news services that I already followed through RSS, but then I started following their Twitter feed.
You mean like the international scene?
Well, yeah, it's mostly that. But then I got into the Swedish, Norwegian. I follow quite a lot. So I started following people and getting a flow of news. And basically, I'm not interested in following people who tweet about, now I'm at the bus stop and stuff like that. So if I always check a person's Twitter flow before I follow them. So that some people I notice, they don't do anything. Their tweets are all pointless, so I don't follow them. I follow you, Nilo.
Oh, I guess I should know that. I guess I should know that.
You don't do very much, but you're there. No, I mean I think it's important to decide what you want to do with it. I agree, Nilo, that it is quite a one-way traffic thing. It is rather broadcasting. What I do is I use Twitter. I broadcast when I find articles in my field that I think are interesting, or news items, or something that I think is of interest. I'll tweet it. And if anyone likes that and finds that useful, they'll retweet it to their followers. So I suppose I'm providing a service, and I've built up, rather a lot of people follow that service, so it must be of some use. And I follow people who provide a similar input to me. I don't tweet about my personal life or everyday activities. If you follow me, you get a pile of links about news items about e-learning, education, and other related subjects. It's also, I think, you can use it for discussion, but it's a funny sort of discussion. You have to be incredibly concise. It forces you to say what you think in 140 characters, which is a challenge. I do enjoy taking part in Twitter chats. I'll be doing one on Thursday night with an open MOOC course that I'm helping to run. And that can be great fun because it's a little bit tricky to organize, but most people find it is quite invigorating to have a go and at least follow a Twitter chat. If you catch the hashtag and then just follow it at the right time, you can get a lot of good ideas. I agree. It's
never tried that. It's one of those things that I just can't.
There's school chat. Hashtag school chat is worth having a go at. I can't remember which night it is. I think which night is it?
Huh?
Which evening is it?
Which evening?
Kim?
I don't remember you can just.
No, it's one of those evenings in a week, about 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and they have a different subject each week. There's quite a lot. There's been ones for folk building as well.
It's Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Thursday 8 o'clock. Yep. It's worth having a go at. I mean, you just hashtag school chat around 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening and just watch the flow and then contribute if you feel like it. There's a lot of great, interesting people out there, and they provide information that way. I've managed to do a lot of interesting things through Twitter.
Isn't there awfully a lot of garbage floating around, like everywhere in social media?
Yeah, if you follow it. The great thing about Twitter is you don't need to follow the rubbish.
Yeah.
I don't get any rubbish, or almost none, because I don't follow anyone who provides it.
That's why I see other garbage. I follow everything. No, I don't actually.
I mean, there's a totally different world of Twitter out there that I've never encountered. There's the Twitter of there's celebrity Twitter. You can follow your favorite artists and favorite film stars and read the stuff they write about what they're wearing today or where they were, and if you're into that sort of thing, you can follow your favorite stars. There's also a lot of gossip. There's a lot of journalists are very active on Twitter.
It sounds great. I really feel it will be my thing later further on.
Yeah,
this gossip and all that stuff. It's really up my alley,
But also it's been shown that if you want to keep abreast of breaking news, very often the journalists, we have a journalist school here as well, and they've said that you've got to follow the right hashtags, because actually news breaks on Twitter. That's where you find out first.
Yeah, that's what I've understood.
Terrorist attacks, horrible things like that. Sure. The first news is generally on Twitter. And
man, I don't want to hear about horrible things. I want to hear about good stuff. like the Christmas message and sharing the all the happiness.
Okay.
Is that on Twitter too? I don't want to hear about the awful things.
Absolutely.
But you can also. I have a very special way of using Twitter, and that's making notes of when I'm in seminars or or in conferences, I sort of make public notes. It's something for myself. I would write those things down for myself, or take pictures of good slides with interesting links or anything. And when I have the later on, I can check my notes and my photos and other people's notes as well. And if I write a blog story or something, so I think this is how this is very specific. It's almost the only way I use it. Well, maybe if I have written something in my blog, I promote it through Twitter but basically that's the way I use it, and I think it's very practical for me. It's like at the same time I make my notes for myself for further use, and I pass them on to those who might be interested.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I do that as well. Also, many conferences now have an official hashtag.
Hashtag, that's right. Yeah.
And really, if you just follow that, and there's a lot of Twitterers in the room, in the hall, you get sort of notes that just, you get a wonderful flow. You can add your comments, you get other people's comments, you get links, you get photos, and at the end of it all, you can go to this, there's a service called Storify.
That's right.
And you put in the hashtag, and it creates a lovely visual story around the conference with everything under that hashtag. And you can have it as a website and let people see it. It can be a wonderful record of what went on.
So basically, you don't really go to any conferences any longer.
I've taken.
Yes, and it's interactive. It's when you're sitting in a very boring seminar and there's just this one guy giving his endless jibber jabber on something. So there can be a very interesting discussion going on in Twitter on the same thing, but in a very interactive, in a very sort of constructing something new.
It's like the modern version of passing notes to the other kids.
Yeah, but it's making notes. Yeah. It's doing it together, so it's shared notes and shared things. So it's really, I think that's a very good way.
The main thing you can ignore that stupid person trying to learn you something, teach you something.
Yeah, that poor. No, it's. But and very often you can just take pictures and if the slides are good and contain interesting ideas, so it's just, you don't have to write that. You can just take a picture and tweet it.
All you guys are on Twitter. Kim, you're on Twitter too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Kim's experiences?
Yeah. Kim, how are your Twitter experiences?
I've actually been lucky the few times I've used Twitter. I followed an American video blogger, Chris Perillo, and he once posted something where you could get, you could win, what's it called, MSDN, a Microsoft MSDN subscription if you followed someone. And I did that, and I actually won it. So for a full year, I had a ultimate MSDN subscription and could download everything Microsoft had.
Wow.
Other than that, there are a few people I follow. Edward Jansinger and Jocke in Helsingborg. Nothing else is really interesting. I have way too many people I follow, and most of it is uninteresting.
Well, I have way too many as well. I think I follow
what is way too many, actually? I mean, is it relevant in this context at all? Why are there too many?
The one thing I find difficult is to sort of take off people whom I started to follow. I feel that it's very, very impolite. So they might get hurt or embarrassed if I do that.
That's the way the world functions.
Yeah, but they won't know.
Playing on my sensitivities. Yeah.
I don't think you can possibly see on Twitter that somebody's unfollow. Or maybe there's something, but I think most people
Yeah.
have no idea. I would never know if anyone unfollows me, and I really don't care.
It's not
I
so
bet
easy.
there are
Yeah.
ways of finding out, everything. You
Yeah.
can find out everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I follow about. I think I follow about 800 people.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's rather to a lot. But I mean, basically, I see it as the flow. If I see someone that in the flow who's just tweeting a load of nonsense, I'll dump them. But I just let it go. I mean, it's like a lot of people get really freaked out by the sort of flow that it just keeps rolling down and so on. I just go in and dip my, so I dip a toe in. I open up, I open it up, and I see what's in my inbox, what's been happening over the last sort of 30 minutes. And I might find a gem in there, something really good. But I don't go back and see what's been happening in the last 24 hours while I've been offline. I don't care what was there. What I miss, I miss. But I just check what's going on just now. Sometimes I find something, sometimes I don't.
And of course, it's something you can do when you're sitting on a bus or in a train. You just go keep looking if there's something interesting there, if you have nothing else to do. But me too, as I said, it's I have this very special way of using it, and I keep to that.
That's good.
Mostly.
So do you guys keep track of Twitter on your cell phones?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I have it on an iPad and cell phone. Basically, I never check my tweets on the laptop. I always use it only on iPad and iPhone.
I'm the other way around. Because I'm 90% of the time I use it, I'm on the laptop.
Yeah, right. In an iPhone, I guess that's a cell phone too, huh? What is it actually? Is it cell phone? I guess so. Yeah. Where does it come from? Who builds those things? What do you say it was called? iPhone?
Sorry.
No, I've heard about it. I've heard about it somewhere. I just can't.
Is that a no word on Google Hangout? What's the? Yeah, I follow it on.
Yeah, I know there are people who use those things. I know. I guess they're okay. Heck, I'm running this thing on a MacBook, by the way. Did I say that? On a really, really neat, tiny 11-inch, super cool MacBook Air. At last, I got that. I don't know if I told you guys about my ambition to get some proper gear some time ago. I wrote, like to everyone in the school district and whatnot, and reaction was like 0. But then, well, it didn't make any sense talking to the principal because we don't have any money here. We are basically bankrupt, or very close, for reasons that I won't get into here. But anyway, so it just happened in a most amazing way that we had some money left from the latest European Union project, and whoa, here we go. Now I'm in good shape. Do I look good?
I don't know. Maybe I'm tempted. I'll give you a Twitter sunshine story.
Okay, good.
One day, that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I was looking at my Twitter flow, and suddenly a tweet comes up from a guy I can't say I know, but a Twitter person I know of, and I generally gives good stuff. And he had a little comment. He just says, anyone who can translate Swedish into English? ? So I tweeted back, yep, I can. What do you want? And he tweeted back to me and said that I found a really cool document about using Creative Commons in the classroom with children, and it's in Swedish. And he gave me the link. And I looked at it and I thought, my goodness, that's the one that's on Skolverket, and I know the person who wrote it. So I said, yes, not only do I know this, I know the person who wrote it, and I can translate this and so on. So I contacted the person who wrote the thing up in Stockholm, And we sort of collaborated, and we did a translation of the brochure and sent it off to Canada to this guy. And he then decided that he wanted more sort of customized photographs. So he was working at a university near Toronto, and he was liaising with a school, a middle school, with an amazing teacher who was teaching 10, 11-year-olds and teaching them about digital rights and about Creative Commons and about sharing material, blogging, using wikis, and sharing things responsibly with 10, 11-year-olds. I thought, my goodness, that is incredible. Anyway, he went out to her school, took photographs with permission of the pupils in action and some of the things they were doing, added it, and produced a Canadian version of this brochure about Creative Commons, referring, of course, giving credit to the original the original version, and using a Creative Commons license as you should. That was pretty good.
Pretty good, for sure.
Then I got a message from this teacher in this middle school in Ontario, Canada, saying, we got the connection, we were glad to help with this brochure, it's a great brochure, and by the way, every week in class on Fridays, we have a guest star to come in from somewhere in the world via Skype to talk to the kids. And since the kids have been working with us, I've told them about you, so can you be our guest on Friday? So there I was, sitting talking on Skype to a class of 10 or 11-year-olds in rural Ontario, Canada, with this teacher and so on. We didn't talk much about Creative Commons, but it was about sort of what's the weather like in Sweden, and you're supposed to be good at ice hockey, but we're better, sort of stuff. And, you know, but it was, I mean, and that just shows, in a way, that one tweet then led to connections, which led to other connections, and but I think that's not just Twitter. That's the glory of social media. You don't know where it's going to end up.
No, but I think actually it is somehow Twitter specific, the way I see it a little bit too, since I've been saying for quite some time that the way I see it, it's really hard to have at least for me, it's really hard to have good discussions on Twitter. I just can't pull it off. Most often, the way it turns out is that I guess I say something like, "Okay, please mail me," or "Let's talk on the phone," or whatever. But it can be a really good gateway drug. Reaching out to people really works surprisingly well in many cases, I found. Even the kind of people that you'd think you'd never get an answer from if you just like mailed them out of the blue or something.
Yeah, it's the English concept of serendipity, which is a very good long word for you to learn. Meaning,
I've heard it sometime. What does it mean?
Pure chance. It's sort of what will be, que sera sera, and it's like serendipity is just the sort of just pure chance, random, and that one day suddenly you'll meet somebody or you'll get a connection and suddenly things will happen. It's lucky chance.
What about Twitter being a little bit like an echo chamber in the well, say in Sweden? I've got that feeling sometimes that this stuff keeps bouncing back and forth. Well, now I'm talking about the people working in education most, of course. Again, I'm not into this as much as I should be, I suppose, but I've had that feeling sometimes that these tweets keep bouncing back and forth in this kind of a small circle of people, and not much comes out of that. Am I completely on the wrong track here?
No, I think you're very... There is a problem with that, and it's not just Twitter, it's Facebook, it's Google, it's everything we do, because we connect with people we want to connect with, and we connect with people who agree with us. And we tend not to connect with people who don't agree with us or whose opinions we don't like. So we do create bubbles around ourselves. So I agree.
Filter bubble thing.
Filter bubble thing, yeah, of course.
I don't know, but yeah, but I wasn't thinking of that specifically. Somehow I think don't we all need a filter bubble? Otherwise, you just have some kind of random chatter that runs you down.
But that's why I feel for me the solution is that I have specific sort of ways to use different social media tools. So Twitter, as I said, for something else, for seminars and conferences, for the interaction and note taking there, and then Facebook for something else, and blogging and for the third thing. So it's if I try to do the everything on every media, then of course it runs me down, and I'll be exhausted, and I feel I missed one tweet. Now I have to go back 5 days and read all of them. So that's not the way madness. I do it. That's not. Yeah, no, that's madness. So I just I have these specific ways of doing them, and that's my solution how to cope in this world that I find. And this is something I think you should think about when you think about whatever. If, for example, your organization and how the communication and marketing of your organization. So what do you do on the blog? What do you do on Facebook? What do you do in Twitter? You just, what is the function of each of those in your plan, in your communication, marketing, interaction plan. So that's something I do personally, and I think that's something you should do. Otherwise, it's not. Of course, it's chaotic.
Yeah, I agree completely. You have to. It sounds rather inflated to say each person has to have their own communication plan. You sound like a sort of organization. But it's true. I have my own in my head communication plan.
Right. Yeah.
I have Twitter so I have Twitter for this. I have Facebook for this. I have Google Plus for something else. I have a number of different channels, my blogs and so on, and they all fulfill a function. If you start mixing them too much, it gets confusing. But if you know that Twitter is for this and Scoopit is for that and the blog is, you can manage it. But it's complex.
Yeah.
But there must be somewhere there must be kind of a line that when you cross that line, then you are investing like lots of time and effort into keeping whatever you're doing going on Twitter, on Facebook, on you name it. And sometimes I get this urge to just pick one playground more or less and stick to it and more or less ignore the rest of the stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm extreme because my job is monitoring what's going on in the world in my field and researching and analyzing. So I mean, this is what I live off. So I mean, I need my feeds. But for other people, if you're focusing on teaching or in other stuff, then you've got to select.
I'll start. You said you need your fix. You need your fix, right?
Yeah.
I really feel that these are the new things things that we have to sort of think about and discuss and understand. So, for example, in my school and in my community, we're talking about a learning environment for the school. Then we have the web pages for the school, and then we have this Wilma, which is a private tool for communication between parents and teachers and also students sometimes. So of course, it's madness if you start to use the learning environment as a web page or the web page as a communications tool. It's too much. You can't and everybody gets sort of confused. But when each of these are needed, and each one has a specific function, and you use them sort of rationally as they're supposed to use, then it also is very clear. So I think it's not a question of just saying, oh, okay, I quit it. I'll just use Facebook, because you can't use Facebook for everything, or you can't use just...
No, thank God, I guess you can.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. But you get the idea of what I'm saying.
That's another
what do
good
you
point.
think? Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Just that I think too often we use digital tools the wrong way.
Right. Yeah.
And many people I talk to, they say, oh, I hate Twitter, or I hate Google Plus, or I hate whatever. And when I say, what have you done with them? I then find out that it's a little bit like, you say, I hate screwdrivers. What a load of rubbish! I mean, they're just they're absolute rubbish. I was trying to hammer nails into the wall. It's absolutely useless.
It's all about power tools. Power tools. That's what you need.
But even then, I mean, if you're using a screwdriver to hammer nails in the wall and accuse the screwdriver of being a load of rubbish, it's the same thing with digital tools.
Sure.
Right. What Niilo, you said about trying to have discussions and conversations on Twitter. I'm sure that you get frustrated after 2 or 3 sort of lines. So it is not a good tool for that. I don't think it is, and you it's more like a community tool where you can add on and add on and add on, but not really discuss.
Well, it's a broadcast tool, isn't it?
Networking.
Mostly broadcasting.
Yeah. I think networking. Yeah. I've got a great network out there, and also I find it immensely useful. If I get stuck on something, I stick a question on Twitter, like, does anyone know a good report on blah 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 blah? And most of the time, it's amazing. Within a few minutes, or at least within half an hour, I've got about 2 or 3 suggestions, sometimes from people I've never even heard of.
Most of the time, those suggestions are there from abroad or within the Nordic area? If we're talking about Nordic area as our home.
I'm more I have a combination, because I'm a bit strange. I combine I tweet sometimes in Swedish, most of the time in English, sometimes in Swedish, and also quite often in Norwegian. And I have sort of the different communities, but you get much more response from the international community. That's true, but I mean, people come with good advice.
Meaning that the Nordic area is so tiny and out in the weeds, or what?
No, it can be excellent. I mean, there's a lot of... I would say there's different... I think there's a lot of school Twitterers out there in the Nordic region. There's very, very active indeed. And in Sweden, there's a very, very strong Twitter Twitter people in the school area. Very, very few in Sweden in higher education are on Twitter. I don't know, can't explain that, but it's very, very little. Whereas for higher education, I get all my inspiration from outside, from international contacts.
I wonder actually about the numbers, like percentage of say educators within talking about compulsory education. To start with, at least, say Sweden compared to the other Nordic countries. I don't have any idea, but just thinking of my my Nordic area out in the sticks, so it's not very common that educators are on Twitter, at least in active fashion. I don't think it's very common.
I have to say the other way around. What I've heard, seen, if you actually follow things like school chat and different, there are lots of teachers.
But you live in the part of Sweden where there are like more than 10 people.
Yeah, that's sort of our prerequisite. Yeah.
You are in the thick of it, Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that these are people like you actually know in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Still, there are thousands of them using Twitter.
Yeah.
And lots of them using Facebook, despite my word saying that nobody does.
But I mean, everyone is on Facebook except me so far. I guess I'll make a comeback. But definitely not everyone is on Twitter.
No, it's a very small.
Yeah, I wonder what the percentage might be in compulsory education in Sweden. Talking about teachers, you know, I don't mean those accounts that are never active, but people that really do check their feeds and tweet at least say sometimes. I don't know, what could it be? I don't even think it'd be half.
No, according to the new report, Svenskarna och internet, which came out a few weeks ago, the 2014 report, it was looking
Swedes and the net.
It's an excellent report with all the statistics about Anyway, I think it mentioned something like the Twitter was about 15% population in Sweden who use. Sorry.
15?
15, yeah. Facebook was up around 69% of the population, but
okay.
Twitter is
do they mean population like complete total population?
Complete total, yes. Not educators, but I mean, Twitter is a minority phenomenon. There's no doubt about that. It's not that big. And what's interesting, I think, even internationally, is that a lot of people sweepingly say that it's the young people who are on Twitter, but the evidence is no, it's not. It's people like us. Young people, they use text. They're not so fond of Twitter. And Instagram and Snapchat and texting, but they're not on Twitter.
Yeah,
It's not a youth phenomenon.
Yeah.
I know that very few of our students here are on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, they do. There are a few who have Twitter accounts, but they hardly know what it's all about or use it at all. Very few, I'd say.
It's not, as I said at the beginning, it's not that easy to understand.
No, I guess not.
And of course, it's something you should learn at school. So you could try to have some exercises on Twitter. You could have sort of private chats with a special hashtag or write a story. Starting, and that would be using it outside the school on your phone.
I mean, trying out a private chat, then it's like it's not for real anyway. And when they are doing stuff on their own, they are never private.
Yeah, but I mean, you could test different kinds. You could also test for them to take notes. For example, during a lecture, and share them with the hashtag so they can get the whole picture and discuss. So these kind of things we were talking about. So it's not that you just stay there and said, oh, they are not in Twitter, oh, they can't do Twitter, and they don't. Just they have to learn. And you can help them. So that would be something to do at school, I think. Sure. That's something you might need a lot in your higher education or studies later. So this is not. I think it's always a question of teachers taking the initiative here.
Yeah, I tell students here about. I mean, the very few students here use Twitter, but when I try to sell the idea to them, what I do say is that actually you can get involved in your scientific community by following some of the top researchers or professors around the world in your particular subject areas. You can get involved in their discussions. You can see what they're reading. You can keep up with what's going on. You can join the scientific. There is a scientific discussion, or at least links being shared amongst some of the sort of gurus in the area. And sometimes I remember myself how, I start maybe retweeting something from, one of the gurus in my field. And I remember the feeling once when I'd written a blog post and I'd put it, I'd sent out the link on Twitter. and sort of one of my sort of heroes, or sort of gurus in the business, retweeted the link of my blog, and I thought,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I can imagine for students, you know, the same thing when you suddenly realize that the guy who wrote your current textbook actually agreed with something you said on Twitter can, you know, that can boost your morale enormously, and even more for school kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Something I must say something here to boost my moral here. I got Mick Kring from the great city of Stockholm on the questions and answers app. At last, something there. It's really amazing. And what is he saying? He loves my Santa hat, you know. And thank you, Mick. I really do appreciate this. Pretty much made my Christmas, you know.
Who cares about the discussion?
Thank
It's just the Santa hat.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about boosting my everything, whatever.
Great.
So, yep, love it. It's not just Twitter that can do the trick, I'm telling you.
Yep.
Just to get the attention one way or the other.
Yep.
Yeah. Who doesn't thrive on attention? Huh?
Next time I'll be without topless. How do you feel?
Hey, you're gonna be topless. Very good. Very good. I bet we'll get some attention.
Yeah.
This will be an X-rated show.
I'm going to have a room. I'm going to have a room full of puppies.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
I had something on my mind here, something serious stuff. Yeah, schools. Should schools have their own Twitter accounts?
Depends. I don't. For whom? Who on earth are you communicating with in that case? Because the parents won't have Twitter accounts, so you're not communicating with them.
Twitter is a broadcast medium. Like if you use it, you are targeting pretty much anyone interested, I guess. Should a school get a Twitter account and get as many relevant followers as possible? Media, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, don't do it just for the hell of it. Have a clear,
not for
it's
the
got to have
hell
a
of it.
clear purpose in your communication.
Not for the hell of it. I was thinking, for example, like, was it last year, pretty much? I think I mentioned it earlier in some other context that we were hit pretty badly in both in social media and traditional media due to circumstances that I won't get into here. And it really got crazy the way I see it. And I think that, and I guess I said this earlier as well, but anyway, I think that if we'd had some kind of a platform in social media, say, for example, a Twitter account, I don't know, Facebook page, whatnot, perhaps we could have been part of the dialogue, and perhaps it could have become a dialogue. But because it sure wasn't a dialogue, it was like one way, and we got gunned down in a pretty nasty way, actually. And there was nothing we could do about that.
Do you think Twitter might have helped there?
Anything would have helped. Anything would have helped there, I think, because there was like we just basically were lying flat on the ground and just taking the hits, you know.
Yeah, difficult to say, but I think that with all these kind of school as a Twitter personality or so, it's who would be the teachers who'd use the account and what if institutional.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a bunch of teachers like or personnel like one after another and completely fuzzy kind of thing. Of course, there should be. It should be very like. Alistair, what you said, don't do it just for the hell of it and just get it started and roll with it. Of course, you need to put lots of planning into the whole thing. But I don't know.
But for example, in Finland, if you think of the media, the journalists, and they're always on their own name. They're never representing
No.
their papers or in. I wonder if it's if sort of institutional accounts are clever way of
Should it be the principal? Should it be the principal, perhaps?
I think the personalized accounts are the basic idea.
The principal's account for the school?
Yeah, well, of course, the principal, if he has his personal account, he is a representative of the school, and I would say that
just like a job account, being a principal of that school and taking part in the conversation.
As a principal.
As a principal, from that point of view, and not all this like beautiful kittens and dogs and whatnot, but the educational point of view.
I think it almost solves itself in a way, because the thing with Twitter is if you're going to communicate via Twitter, you have to have somebody to communicate to.
That's right.
Getting followers on Twitter is hard work. I remember starting with no followers, and how do you get your first followers? You've got to start providing something useful to somebody.
But perhaps a school principal would be the person to provide something useful, at least, to someone outside of the school.
Oh yeah, but you've got to reach those people. First of all, I mean, there could be people who are interested, but they've got to be on Twitter, they've got to notice you, and they've got to want to follow you. And I know many who, I mean, they've got a Twitter account and they put stuff out, but if you've only got 20 people following you and all of them...
But I mean, you got 20 people when you get started, or perhaps you have 0.
You've got to keep building, but it takes time to build it up.
Yeah, it takes time. But the question is, could it possibly be worth it? And especially from the beginning, perhaps, to get the media on board. So you know that whatever we are shelling out from the school will be noticed, say, in the media, and sure, among parents as well.
I think Twitter is not the way to communicate to parents. I think that would be, there should be other ways of doing that, like we have.
I don't mean communicating to parents so that would be like a sole channel to reach parents. Definitely not. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt if there were parents among the followers of the principal.
No.
Like this guy Eric Scheninger, I guess you recognize him, at least Alastair does, and I talked to him, the U.S. principal. He used to be a principal. I guess he's not any longer. He's moved on after several years at the whatever that school is called. But he had been working. He had put lots of time and effort into using Twitter in education, and apparently there were great advantages. He should be popping in here. That would be kind of cool, but I guess he's like an exception, though.
Then, of course, to get into the right channels, if the school is putting out good information, then it's worthwhile checking out what are the hashtags that will get you noticed outside your own bit. If you've only got 20 followers, make sure you tweet with a hashtag, because then you'll be seen by more people and you might attract followers.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have to have something to promote. I mean, if you have a school which has interesting developmental projects or something happening there, I think that might catch the attention. But
if schools don't have anything interesting, if they don't have anything interesting to tell anyone, then they should be out of business, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know.
They aren't, of course, but I mean, heavens, I think most schools have interesting stuff.
Yeah.
That should be communicated somewhere else as well, not just within the walls of the school building, which is still today the way it works, at least in my area.
But do you think there are things like you can put in a 150
Yeah, sure.
marks.
You can include a link for example.
Okay, well,
No
so
problem.
you have a, but then as I said, it's a question of plate of social media. So you can have Twitter account to promote your blog where you are writing.
You can have a Twitter account to promote. You can have a
articles about
Twitter
your.
account to promote your blog, or say
Yeah,
principal
but
might
with
have
only.
a Twitter account to promote whatever is happening in the school by linking to the school website,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, but of
I'd
course.
love to be
Yeah.
something else than just a static web page.
It's not just the Twitter, of course.
Of course, yeah, you guys were into
It's a
that.
part
It's a
of the
combination.
communication plan, as I said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Then it would be,
that's the way it should be. Of course, yeah. You were into that earlier, you guys. That you got to have this combo deal somehow, and of course. I mean, we have a web page, like the official web page of the school. It's garbage. Well, it's not garbage.
So would you like to promote it?
No, I
Twitter?
don't. Well, it's not crap. I mean, if you want to have the phone number and the name of the principal and a couple of teachers, yeah, you get that there. But I mean, is that really what the web should be for? I don't think so. So in this case, I don't think that it would be a very good idea to promote that page through social media channels, including Twitter. It wouldn't make that much sense. But providing you have a really neat, like a website that really uses all the bells and whistles you can use on the web in a smart way, then of course, I mean, heavens, it would be perfect.
If the school wants to take part in a dialogue with the community, I think a blog would be the best way for that, because that would be there. You can write longer articles with perhaps pictures and you can sort of tell about your projects, tell about what's happening in the school, and so on. So Twitter would be just to promote those.
Yeah, sure. So schools need a media plan, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the deal. That's what we figured out.
Yeah,
it just took 1 hour. 1 hour and 1 minute.
Right.
Do any schools have, say, a media plan or whatever, social media plan? Do you know of any in compulsory education?
Yeah, I can't put my finger. Maybe Kim has, but there are quite a lot, and they put their social media plans on the net. So there's quite a lot of them. You must have down in Malmö, Helsingborg, I'm sure.
I bet.
Jens Singer and so on have done.
Stockholm, Mika Kring. Hello there. I know he's watching. I know he's listening. He's not watching. He's not stupid. There's not much to see here, but he's listening. And I'd be surprised if those guys in Årsta don't have some kind of a social media plan. I bet they do. If not in print, like even if they haven't written it down, I think they got something like that. Since they are using a combo of all these tools available, I think, including podcasts, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting story in itself, because I don't get podcasts either, actually. I don't get much. I love to listen to good stuff. I listen to podcasts a lot, but I just don't get it that there are people who feel like sitting on their own with a microphone. Man, sounds boring like crazy.
That's a topic for another one. I could actually I could pass you. I have a very good colleague here in Kalmar who works at the one of the high schools here, who is a great enthusiast of radio as a flexible learning resource in education, and he's done a lot of inspirational work with that, and works a lot with the Swedish radio around podcasting and using radio because not everything has to be video, and
absolutely not. You must remind me of that.
I'll gladly give you his, because he might be a good guy to get in on one of these.
Absolutely. And talking about this stuff, audio and video as well. So it's really interesting combination using Hangouts and then extracting the audio from there. And there you got the groundwork for your podcast, perhaps. And I think that is really, really super interesting in education as well. And I think there are quite a few people, not only in education, using this method.
For me, that's too little input. If I just listen, I have to do something else with my hands. Something I must be cooking, or I don't do.
Well, why don't you? Why don't you?
Handicrafts.
Go for it. Go for it. Cooking,
yeah.
exercising, whatever, washing the dishes, and it's perfect. And then, do you ever wash the dishes?
Yeah. So no, well, yeah, I do, but it makes such a lot of noise that you can't listen to anything when you're washing the.
You just crank up the volume, for heaven's sake.
Radio is still alive, and maybe it's another theme.
In the car. In the car when you're driving, that's when I listen.
And millions of people use it.
But we really must get into this another time, talking about audio and podcasting and radio and all that stuff.
We better sign off now.
Okay. Any Christmas presents, Alistair, to people? All those billions of people watching us, listening to us? We must have a Christmas present before we call it quits. Perhaps you promise to follow anyone who says, "Hey, Alistair, I want to get started in Twitter. Can you please help me?"
I'm happy to help.
There we go.
Okay.
No better Christmas present than that. Anyone watching this show now has an expert available. It is Alistair Creelman, and if you need any help, what's that, Alistair, you're showing us?
You can have a date. No, I'm.
Oh, okay.
You are reading something.
No, figs.
Oh, figs. Okay, figs is fine.
I love figs. That's a Christmas present. Have a fig.
But it's a present to yourself, for heaven's sake. It's a present to yourself. Okay, good. Alistair is helping anyone wanted to get into the Twitter flow. Kim, what have you got?
Christmas.
Nothing. What? Come on. Anything. You are good at something. Oh man. Did it just freeze? No, it didn't. I know what you can give. I know what you can give to people. You are like a wizard with all this Chromebooks and Google Apps stuff and whatever, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone who wants more information or has questions about Chromebooks, Google Apps, you name it, you just get in touch with Kim here, and he will provide free consulting. 2 hours, no charge. All right? He doesn't say anything. That means yes. Tina, what do you have?
Well, I wasn't going to give any free lessons or lectures or anything like that.
Boring.
But yeah, I was actually thinking of what I'm going to do during my Christmas holidays, and I'm gonna spend some time reading and not just textbooks, but I'm probably gonna read Murakami, which is a Japanese writer whom I really enjoy a lot. And the new book is waiting for me during the Christmas holidays. So if you want to enjoy your holidays with a good book, then choose Murakami.
All right. Pretty good suggestion.
That's
I guess that leaves me. What do I have? Ah, man. Well, at least I have back to the Google stuff, which is what we all adore. So almost. Some people hate. But anyway, I managed to get Google Apps for Education going in my school, and that wasn't easy because I'm not a full-blown tech person at all. I made it anyway, and I have actually written down about my experiences. I have not written a manual or anything like that, but it's the basic steps there and some pitfalls as well, things to avoid, whatever. And this thing is so far in Swedish, but I could just, do some weird machine translation thing or whatever, and perhaps even if I find the time to polish it a little bit and make it available in case you got lots of cash. No, for free. No one would pay for that anyway. So I might try to fix that Christmas present. Implementing Google Apps, a language teacher trying to get into tech, and all the horrible things that followed. That'll be it. Perhaps before Christmas, or perhaps shortly after. The Swedish version is pretty much done, like I said, but the English one definitely will need some work. Are we done or what?
What about the Finnish one? The Finnish version?
Finnish? What's Finnish? Heavens. You don't care about that anyway, do you? You guys don't even have computers. You do. Oh, I was way out of line. Yeah, of course I should get a Finnish version. Well, you don't have any problems reading Swedish anyway, and even less reading,
no, not for me, but
English. And that is true to most Finns. All the people there are great in English or in Swedish or both. So I don't just bother. I just go for the Swedish and English one. You know, I think it'll work just fine.
But also in Sweden, do you need Swedish anymore? It's I think I read it's 90% of Swedish people speak English, and it's the second language, almost like second language, second official language in Sweden, English.
Yes,
so
it's the proficiency. Generally,
you can forget the Swedish one also.
I should have started and done the whole thing in English, I guess. But sure, many, especially young people, are amazingly proficient in English here. Absolutely, and I guess it's a bit of a Nordic phenomenon, but might be that the Swedes are leading the pack. I'm not sure. I don't know. Folks, this has been fun.
Yep.
I'm kind of wiped out now.
Yep. Time to go home.
Time to go home, and sooner than you notice, it is Christmas.
Right.
So, Merry Christmas, everyone, and see you on air next year. This show will, of course, keep rolling on forever. That's Tina, you're laughing. Well, at least we try to keep it rolling next year as well.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Take good care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.